36th and Lindale in Minneapolis is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant. Now open daily from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with their full menu available until midnight. Check them out today at nightingalempls.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Haglind, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park, located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another gorgeous day here in the Twin Cities, and I am so grateful to be here with you today, and I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. I want to thank all of you that leave messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows. We look forward to hearing from you. Once again, that phone number is 612-999-3426. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website. And we can also be found on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and many other podcast and streaming services. You can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. All right, we have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Meg Heinze. She is a pre-arrangement and educational specialist, and she'll be talking about the importance of being prepared. What are the first things that need to be done when a loved one passes away? Through knowledge and planning, individuals can relieve their loved ones of undue stress at the time of loss. Personalized funeral planning can also help to set your family on a path of healing. Meg has been planning with families for over 15 years. As a member of the White Funeral Home family, she has seen the appreciation from families and the relief of knowing that everything has been taken care of. Meg believes that knowledge leads to action. Pre-planning can be detailed and all-inclusive, or it may be the importance of setting up a financial tool to cover specific and immediate expenses. A combination of this planning can be a treasured gift to your family. As a licensed consultant, she is here today to share what you can do to provide this special gift to your family. All right, listener questions here. Before we begin our conversation, I want to remind you there are two ways to get your questions answered today. First, you can ask your question live on the air by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show engineer, Patrick, will get your call on the air. That number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205, or you can directly text us your question at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry, if you missed those numbers, we'll be repeating them throughout the show. And please don't wait till the show's ended, folks, to call or text us your questions. We get that all the time, every week. People are calling or texting after the show. And a lot of times it's the same questions that are being asked. So if you have a question, many others do as well. And so please feel free to give us a call or a text today. All right. I want to welcome my guest for today's show, Meg Heinze, pre-arrangement and educational specialist and licensed consultant. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Ken. It's good to be here.
I know.
Fun thing to do.
Yes, no, and we know each other over the years. We've been at several expos and fairs, and always trying to help our communities understand the importance
for seniors. Yeah.
Yes, and it seems like no matter how much we talk about the things that we do, in my practice in hospice and your practice and what you do, there still seems to be a huge gap of information that people
there's
don't.
just so much information,
Right.
it's just there's so, and we learn more and we want to people to keep up with things and changes. And we want to be available to educate those
that is
people.
so true. So true.
Yeah.
And I mentioned some folks today or this week. I said, I got a great guest on. I'm looking forward to talking to Meg, and we're going to talk about pre-planning and funeral planning. They said, oh, really? And I said, listen, when you have to deal with it, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And, we all have to deal with it, even though no matter how much we think we can avoid it.
Right.
And I tell you, isn't it freeing, Meg, when people finally put that plan together and they know what they want? I mean, it really is.
Absolutely.
It's so satisfying to the person, who's kind of planning their own passing.
Right.
But it's what a gift. As you said, it's just a great gift to the family.
For sure.
And then everyone can just focus on life then, right?
Yes.
I mean,
and that's, I've been from a funeral home family. I grew up, my dad was a funeral director. My grandpa was a funeral home director. Right now I have 3 brothers and 3 nephews that are funeral directors. So I've seen a lot of people in pain. I've worked many a visitation, been the second man on, the hearse driver, all those things in my life.
Sure.
And I came into this because I did get to talk to a lot of families at the time of the death. And that's really difficult. But the more and more I would talk to them at services, they would say, you know what? My dad had everything set up.
Yeah.
It was so nice. It was such a difference. So that I thought, wow, that really is a gift. And I thought, that's where I want to fit in. That's where I want to help people acknowledge that this will happen to them or their parents, and how they can be prepared with their own family to make things much, much better.
Yeah.
No,
I tell you, you need to plan for that inevitable. It's not like it may happen. It will happen. And again, in our hospice practice, we are talking with families all the time. They've never thought through.
I know.
They think mom and dad are going to live forever and they're never going to have any issues. And like I said before the show here, all of a sudden someone falls and breaks a hip.
Right.
And life takes a totally different path.
Right.
And we just wish people would just talk to people like you, or my team. Just think it through what that would look like. So anyway, let's first get some background on you.
Okay. I mean, I kind of told you a little bit.
I know you did, but we kind of want to fill that in people's minds here. They always want to know who the guest is. And so,
I grew up down in Farmington, Minnesota, small town. 6 brothers and sisters. I have lots of great. I was always kind of people get curious about funeral homes and stuff. Now we grew up, my brothers and sisters and we lived upstairs, and the funeral home was downstairs for my dad's first funeral home.
Okay.
So I wasn't the biggest sleepover person in junior high, although we played some gags and stuff, but it was fun, and we had a little bit of fun with that. Again, I know this subject is very personal and very serious. But I'll tell you one thing about my dad, and he had a good sense of humor. So when you deal with people on the worst day of their lives every day, like you too, Ken, but you see the beauty in helping these families work through these stressful times. And if there's something that I've learned in this business, is that people are so much stronger than you think. I mean, it's amazing. I have ladies come in and I said, you have much experience with funerals? Oh, I hope they always say, nope, I know nothing. What's 101? Where do I start? What do I do? But then you have the senior lady that comes in and is like, I buried my husband, my son, all these. And I'm like, well, I'm so sorry that you have that experience. But that's why she's sitting there too, because she's been through it at the time. So did that. I went to school out east at Boston College, got married, I have 5 children of my own, live back here now. I started doing the pre-planning at the funeral home about 15 years ago. Love it, passionate about it. I do a lot of educational programs also, because if there's one thing from working at services, no one wants to ask questions when you're at someone's funeral. Like, what's happening now, or what's going to happen, or why is this happening? Why is there a casket there? I thought they were going to be cremated, something like that. So I think that education is key. It makes things less scary, and nobody gets out of it.
Right.
Dealing with parents, and then, it's just with things that happen and the strength of these people. But if you have knowledge, it's a little less scary, I think.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
And then just to have, then we'll get into the pre-planning part too, but just to know what you need to know is the first step.
Yeah. And I do joke when I do give presentations. I said, Minnesota Hospice is an educational company. We just happen to do hospice. Yeah. Because literally everybody in the staff, no matter what their discipline, they're constantly educating people, about disease progression and the dying process. And there's just so many elements that go into it. Correct. And I think people these days think, well, I can just go online and search for an answer, or, ask Siri. No, that's a start. Yeah. But you really want
there's so much out there.
Yeah. You really want to partner with a professional that does this every day, does it for a living. Yeah. And that's why I wanted you to be on the show here for so long, is that we see that need that people just are not planning. They're not taking the time. And I think it's a lack of knowledge creates fear.
Right. And I always say funeral planning is the ultimate put off.
Yes.
You're not going to need it tomorrow, so why don't we just wait till next week? But I'll tell you, with couples, and the age is getting younger and younger, that people take this in as far as the age they start, just like they retire and do other estate planning. This is also something they do. But I have so many couples that come in, and when they're done and everything's put together and the file is there and the policy's there, everything is set aside and protected in very serious ways. And the lady looks at her husband and says, if you bring this up one more time to me, because they've already been thinking about it for 2 or 3 years before they get in front of me. Right. So I say, you're in front of me. Let's start, but it takes them a couple of years to get there sometimes.
I hear you exactly. All right, folks, the music is cueing us out here. It's time for a short break. We will be back to continue our conversation with Meg Heinze, a licensed consultant and pre-arrangement and educational specialist, on the importance of being prepared and what a special gift her planning services can be to your family. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
The Senior Linkage Line is a free statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging, helping older Minnesotans and caregivers find answers and connect to services and supports. Questions about Medicare, transportation, looking to move to senior housing, overwhelmed with prescription drug plans? Call the Senior Linkage Line at 800-333-2433 or visit trellisconnects.org, where we help people optimize well-being as they age. That's trellisconnects.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Hot July days are best enjoyed with family and friends at the backyard barbecue with your favorite summer foods. But before you know it, you've got those sticky pop spills and barbecue stains all over the place. Lucky for you, Zero Res can get those sweet sticky messes out of your home with no problem. Zero Res has your back on carpet, tile, area rug, and upholstery cleanings, and their experienced technicians know the best care for each of the unique surfaces in your home. And don't forget about your air ducts. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Trust the cleaning heroes at Zero Res to safely clean years of built-up dust and gunk out of your air ducts as your air conditioner swirls through the summer. Schedule your summer cleaning today at ZeroResMinnesota.com with the AM 950 special to get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 and take $100 off any air duct cleaning service. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Now, more than ever, we are being faced daily with the topic of human mortality. And for many people, estate planning has been top of mind. Getting your estate planning done now can be easy and cost-effective. Schroman Law offers virtual options for initial consultations so that new clients can safely initiate the process. With many facing uncertain financial situations, Schroman Law also offers affordable fees for legal documents. Learn more at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hi, all. The Matt McNeil Show is now on weekday afternoons, 3 to 5 p.m. right here on AM 950. It's the usual buffoonery. We'll talk lots of things, including politics, especially with what's going on this election season, plus all the usual topics as well. If it matters to Minnesota and Wisconsin, we'll talk about it. Phone calls are welcome at 952-946 946-6205. Weekday afternoons, come see the Train Chimp, the Matt McNeil Show with me, Matt McNeil, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons right here on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950.
We use technology every day to help manage our lives. Why not use it to help manage your medications? St. Paul Corner Drug offers several free tools to keep you on track while taking your medications. Use our mobile app to quickly order a refill, or the Meds on Q application, which turns your smartphone or tablet into your very own personal medication attendant. Email and text messaging options let you know when your medication is ready for pickup, making efficient use of your time. St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be.
Touch on that again. All right, welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about improving your health and quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Meg Heinze, a licensed consultant and prearrangement educational specialist on the importance of being prepared and what a special gift her planning services can be to your family. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. All right, Meg, how can our listeners get a hold of you if they have questions or want more information?
Sure. Yep. I'm on Gmail with my name. So it's Meg W. Heinze at gmail.com. And I can get back to you right away after that. My phone number is 952-201-6504. So anytime as we all know, we have our phones with us as much as we can.
That's right. All right. Well, fantastic. All right. Well, last segment we did kind of introduce the concept, introduce you, and talked about the beginning of the discussion of pre-planning and how that works. Let's start talking more about specific services that you provide to people when they're looking at starting to plan for the end of life and the funeral process.
Right.
Let's start to talk about some of those services.
Okay. Well, and I always say one of the big things as far as the process of planning is, do you have a funeral home that you are associated with? Has your parents used a certain funeral home? Is it in your town? What are some of these things? Now, that doesn't always have to be why you decide something, but I always say walk into a local funeral home or see how they, call them, see what kind of response you get. They're very, very friendly, compassionate people. I will say that, although they're all my family, so I don't say that all the time, but for the most part, but any funeral home, the same. And then you get a hold of a pre-planner such as myself. I represent different funeral homes over the last years. And I always say, if you want information, I can send it out. But you know what? The best thing to do is set up a time to have an initial conversation. It's just a conversation that introduces you, answers your questions to how is this done? Why is it important? How invasive is it? Or can I do it in one time? Can I do it in a couple times? So we address all those things. But that first meeting is typically very informational, because I always say, when people are at services or they might be at a friend's funeral or memorial and say, I love how this was done, but they're afraid to really ask questions to the, how did you decide to do it this way? Or how did you do it this way?
At the event.
At the event.
Right. That's
so
not
keep your questions.
Yeah.
And those are the kinds of questions that I want to address with you. Many times I go to people's homes. I've sat down with couples, individuals. I've had big farm family dinners, and we said, okay, mom and dad, you guys are going to sit around and we're all going to have a planning party. One time I went to a couple's house that was around Halloween, and they got like a boxed casket, and in it was wine and cheese and crackers. And they finally told their kids, "You're coming over for a pre-planning party." And it was right around Halloween.
Wow.
And I said, "Yep, that's exactly what." Because sometimes families will say, "Well, my kids don't want to talk about it," or but you know what? I'll tell you, that's changing.
Yeah.
And from my experience, if your kids know people that have had people that have passed, and they said, "You know, it wasn't that bad. Dad took care of it." They're going to instead of plugging their ears and saying, "I can't talk about this with you," they're going to say, "Thank you very much, Mom and Dad, for doing this for me."
Yeah.
So sometimes they're a part of it. Sometimes families, you say, "Hey, this is my thing. I want to make it personal to me. I'll take care of it." They'll do what I say at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we sit down and answer all those questions. Information is key. One of the big things that have to be done at a funeral arrangement table is collecting information, things that are needed on death certificates, parents, grandma's maiden name, social security numbers, all of the kind of information that sometimes is hard for kids to know where to find that, military information, military papers, and things like that. So we want to get those things in place. And then, as Ken, you were saying before, one of the biggest questions for people today is, how much is this going to cost me?
Right.
Like many expenses, we like, "Oh yeah, we heard funerals were very expensive. How are we going to pay for this?" But there's so many personal options. But what I want to do is sit with the couple or the individual or the family and go through a list and say, "Okay, here's what it costs at the funeral home. Here's what it might cost if you have an urn or a casket or something like that. Here's what there might be honorariums at the church. Here's how much flowers typically cost if you want family flowers. Do you want something in an obituary?" People don't realize that obituaries are very expensive in the Minneapolis and St. Paul paper, about $12 a line. So when you see, some of that, so those are things. But when I sit with a couple and go through costs, we're going to go through everything so that when your family leaves that funeral home at the end of that week, or they're done with their, they're never done because they're always there for aftercare also. But at the end of that week, what's that end invoice going to be? And many funeral homes will cover those kinds of costs so that the widow or brother doesn't have to be at the church saying, "Well, how much does father usually get?" or "How much does pastor or the music people get?" So we're going to take care of all that information ahead of time. So then they get this number and they're like, "Wow, it's so funny." Sometimes people will say, "Well, that's not so bad." And then sometimes people will say, "Oh my gosh,
I can't afford to die.
I can't." Yeah, exactly. That's a very common one. But, I was just looking online, they'll say an average funeral today, and when I say the word funeral, I always say that's my old self talking. But a funeral means any kind of a memorial that's there for that person. It can be at a park. It can be much small. It doesn't have to have a casket. It doesn't have to do a wake. Cremation is becoming more and more popular, as all of us know. And there's so many questions. I can't even start with all that goes into what makes the difference and how we compare costs and things like that. But typically, if you're having a memorial service and everything that goes with that, from the newspaper, they said, today an average cost of a cremation with a memorial service is about $8,500. And we hear lower numbers a lot of the times, and those are what we call direct cremations, which are also an option for families. But that's really just the physical and legal things that a funeral home has to do, the basics. And then sometimes things add on to that. So that's what I want to educate people on.
Right. Well, we're going to talk more about that because that's such an important part here. It's time for a short break, folks. We'll be back to continue our conversation with Meg Heinze, a licensed consultant and pre-arrangement and educational specialist, on the importance of being prepared and what a special gift her planning services can be to your family. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Senior SeniorCommunities.guide is your free online website to find housing, care, and resources for seniors in Minnesota. Use the powerful, award-winning search tool to quickly improve your search. You will have all the information you need to contact providers directly without any hassle. Start your search now at SeniorCommunities.guide and follow us on Facebook for interesting articles, helpful advice, and how older adults are changing the world.
SeniorCommunities.guide. Hey 950 friends, it's Kelly from Edge Magazine and the Being Curious Show. Are you busy July 23rd? Well, you are now. Join us for Art on the Edge Art Festival in Linden Hills, Minneapolis. It is an art fair like no other. 60 artists and vendors, live music, food trucks, chalk mandalas, authors with book signings, and more. And our special guest is Jerima Sylvia, international soul healer, leading our psychic gallery at noon. For more information, check out the Edge or AM 950 Facebook pages. See you July 23rd.
Right now, gas prices are up there, but don't worry. Fuel efficiency is easy to obtain with a great hybrid model from Rudy Luther Toyota. The Prius, the Camry, the Corolla, the Highlander, and the RAV4, all of them have hybrid models offering you amazing fuel efficiency while you never once have to sacrifice style. RudyLuther.com is the first place to stop to see all their inventory. Rudy Luther Toyota has vehicles to test drive on the lot right now. Find the Toyota hybrid which works with your lifestyle and get it delivered. Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Do you believe in ghosts? Ever wondered if aliens from other planets visit the Earth? Have you ever thought about whether Bigfoot is real? My name is Greg Bakken, and on my new show, Ghost Box Radio, we'll have these conversations about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual, bringing together guests who are experts in these fields. Join me every Sunday at 4 p.m. for Ghost Box Radio with Greg Bakken on AM 950, even if you're a skeptic.
You know how it is with vacuum cleaners. You buy them, you break them, then you throw them away, right? Well, not necessarily. Often, fixing your vacuum can be cheaper than replacing it. Never heard of A1 Vacuum in Roseville? They offer free estimates. So if you wish your vacuum worked like new again, drop by. A1 Vacuum is ready to help clean up your vacuum cleaner act. Find us at a-1vacuum.com or call 651-222-6316.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Partly sunny today with a high of 86, then mostly cloudy overnight tonight with a low of 69. Nightingale at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant. Now open daily from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with their full menu available until midnight. Check them out today at nightingalempls.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
All right, welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about improving your health and quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Meg Heinze, a licensed consultant and prearrangement and educational specialist on the importance of being prepared and what a special gift her planning services can be to you and your family. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. All right, before we get back into our conversation, I want to mention this radio show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with innovative and comprehensive end-of-life healthcare. The team at Minnesota Hospice has been providing patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life healthcare services. Hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services to your home with no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the caring team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They are available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, that number is 952-898-1022, or visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. All right, Meg, before we get back into our conversation, and let's let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you if they have more questions or want more information.
Sure. Yeah, I have lots of resources for people too. If you email me it's just my name, which is Meg, MEGW, which stands for white, and then Heinze, HEINTZE @gmail.com. Or you can just give me a call, leave me a message or a text. That would be great at 952-201-6504, and I can email you out some stuff or however you need some resources from me.
And you're available to meet people.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I like I said earlier a little bit, I enjoy coming to your home. I'd be happy to meet you anywhere at any funeral location or something. But it's kind of nice to get away from the funeral homes once in a while.
Oh my gosh!
Pour
Starbucks
me a cup of
or
coffee and I'll sit with you until we can't chat any longer.
Around the kitchen table.
Yeah, I promise I won't overstay my welcome.
Now during the pandemic, then I suppose you had a lot of video calls then that people did.
We did the old Zoom thing.
You're still available for that.
I had to learn all that, yes, and still available for that. I'm 60. I had to learn it. My kids helped me. But yes, that's always, and it's amazing how really helpful that can be. I mean, it's the best of, I'm an in-person person kind of person.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of persons there, but
all of you show up.
Yeah. But I definitely, it's also a tool that we use even for distances and stuff.
So people shouldn't hesitate to call you, and you can work out if it makes sense to do a video call,
right?
Or again, you can stop by. You do make house calls.
Just
like my team does. We make house calls. So don't be shy about calling and asking questions.
And just questions. Yes.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, last segment we started to talk about cost, because I think that's an area that people are just really unaware of, and maybe confused about.
Right.
And so I'm hoping this segment we could continue that conversation about cost and what's involved and what does it cover, and how do you different ways to pay for that?
Sure.
So let's do that.
Okay. Well, I think I probably have people like $8,000. What the heck? My neighbor got it for $2,000, and so that's why I and again, as I explained before, that includes a lot of different options, flowers, newspapers, all that kind of stuff. Some people don't want those things. Some people are much simpler. So it's an itemized list that gets you to a number. But you might hear on TV, there's a lot of advertisements for direct cremations, which is a service that a funeral home, and typically these are they're called discounted funeral homes, or they will offer a direct cremation. That means when your husband or your dad says, you know what, just pick me up in the milk truck, get me cremated, and throw me over a cliff somewhere, but that's everything legally and physically necessary when somebody passes away. And that can run in the Twin Cities area anywhere from $1,500 to about $3,500. Okay. And that takes care of permits and cremation process and containers. And I like to tell people too, there's no need for people, unless you want that vase on your shelf, to spend a lot of money on urns and things like that. And you can get them online. It's a big business. You don't have to be buying that directly from a funeral home, where there's a little bit more markup too. So these are all just pieces of information that I'm throwing in. But then people say, well, I know that's what my dad probably would say, but we're not doing that, because the reality is, I so strongly believe in that the human spirit needs a way to say goodbye to their loved ones, and to just not be there. You might have that they'll be afraid to approach you in a grocery store or something to say, oh, did I miss that service? Or, I'm so sorry your husband passed, and they don't know how to approach you. So sometimes just that small gathering, even though people say, well, there won't be very many people, but I'll tell you, funerals don't cost much difference if you have 100 people there or 2,000 people there. It's just how much you're going to pay on lunch is pretty much the difference there. But I always say that my concern is the people in the front row. the people sitting up by that display or that casket or that urn or in the front row of the church. Those are the people that we are really, really caring about today to do that. And I'm a woman of faith, so I tell my people, you're going to be in heaven looking the other way. You're not going to be worried about what's going on down here. But the reason we're talking today is because of the people that will be in that front row. And that's who we want to take care of. And that's who I keep in mind. And some people want to be really personal with their journey. And that's great too. So again, back kind of to that cost. So you can have a direct cremation, probably somewhere all in, maybe $2,000 to $3,000, something like that. If you have a memorial service with that, either at your church or at a local funeral home or somewhere that, you want the cards and the services of the funeral home as far as putting things in newspapers, on their websites, ordering, just taking care of everything. I don't know if many of you are party planners, but I put on a really good party at home. At least I used to in my day. But in that, I spent a lot of time planning those get-togethers and making sure that everything was right on. And that's the same with a celebration of life. If we're doing that and we only have 3 days, because we want that to and some people will put things off a little longer, and that's fine too. But there's a lot of planning that goes into these events to make sure that the family, like some of you, Ken, you were saying you go into a service and what do you, what's going on here? That everything is, I don't see anybody, but everything seems to be really nice. The music's nice, everything, because that's what you're paying for, to know that there's somebody there, but you don't see them. And I'll tell you, growing up in a with brothers that are funeral directors, they're very passionate and compassionate people. And they're doing things behind the line that people aren't aware of. But I like to share that information too. But if you wanted to have that service and you wanted an open house and you wanted something like that, then you're probably in more of the $6,000 to $7,000 range. Some people want a formal viewing and then cremation, then you're about in the $8,000 range. A traditional burial of a casket funeral today with all that's included, including cemetery costs, you're probably in the 10 to 11 to 12. And people can spend a lot more than that. And people can spend a lot less than that. So again, I hate averages because it is such a personal business. But the thing that I love is now there are great laws and regulations and consumer protection rules that make it so that you can put that plan together and then put money aside for that reason for your family. And the regulations, because this is such a big industry today, it's just like doing your estate planning or your healthcare directive. Your funeral directive is becoming almost that same thing. And the funeral is the first thing that when your family, you pass, the next day, they're going to have to go into a funeral home. There's probably one other car in the parking lot. It's in the middle of the day, and this is not where they thought they would be today. And here they sit. So there's so many good ways of putting that together. So when I meet with people, I say, let's put the information together. Now let's see how we can use a financial tool to make sure that that money will be there for your family, no matter what the situation is at the end of your life. Because nowadays, it really, the main reason people will prepay for their own funeral today is so that that money is there and their kids don't need to go through price sheets and sit there with that director for 2 hours making these decisions. The director will walk out and say, wow, isn't it great? I met with your parents 15 years ago. Everything's right here. And there's so many, and they'll say, yeah, that's good. We'll do, whatever. If they want to make a little adjustment, absolutely can. If they want to, you said you wanted to change something at the very end, that's good. But most families will sit around that table and go, wow, I am so appreciative that this is taken care of and that this is done. And I've sat at those tables in both instances. If you got 4 or 5 kids around or you got 1, it's difficult no matter what, because there is stresses involved at this time. If there was an illness, if it was an accident, there's so much stress. Is why make them go through these decisions at the time when you can do something about this.
And isn't it always the worst time to make decisions under crisis or under stress?
Absolutely. And they find that people that prepay for their own funerals typically spend about 20% less than they would if their family was there, because there's emotions coming into play. I always tell families, we are sitting here in rational thought. Maybe you don't need $1,000 obituary, I know you're good, but let's put that on the website and maybe just put something a little bit shorter in the newspaper.
Right.
So those are things that we can take time and you can research and you can compare funeral homes and you can compare services. But once we come with that number, we typically set up what's today called a funeral trust. It's just, they use the word trust because it is a way of putting money aside in a specific way to be used for a specific purpose. And at the time of the death, it's so nice because at that point, the funeral director makes a call to the insurance company, which is how these are set up to be safe and regulated. And the money is paid directly to the funeral home within those couple days, and the family does not have to write a check the whole week. And it takes that stress out of their real house. And I can't tell you how good that is. In today's world, there's a lot of good reasons to do it, not only as a gift to your family, but if 50% of us will run out of money before we pass with Medicaid and all these things. And I work with a lot of estate attorneys and elder attorneys to make sure that there is protected funds so that a family does not have to suffer coming up with these funds at a time. So when they're in, and some of you out there might know spend down situations or times when money has to be secured before they run out, which is a wonderful program when they get assistance. But let's do some of this planning way before that so that this is another thing on your plate when elder parents are getting older and going into care. And that, as I said, the laws and the regulations are very strong. And every funeral home does their pre-planning pretty much the same. The money sits with very specific insurance companies. The days of walking into my dad's funeral home down in Farmington, Minnesota and saying, hey, Jim, here's my $5,000 for my funeral. He'd stick it in a CD at the bank and pull it out in 15 years when Dan died. And it was, everything would be done. But then you got 60 Minutes who comes out and says, wait, what if the funeral home goes out of business? Or what if I went back and my parents, the building was burnt down. Now I got nothing. That can all be much safer today than it was many years ago.
All right. Great information, Meg. It's time for a short break, folks. We'll be back to continue our conversation with Meg Heinze, a licensed consultant and prearrangement and educational specialist, on the importance of being prepared and what a special gift her planning services can be to your family. If you have a question for us, please give us a call. We have one more segment left, folks. Call us at 952-946-6205, or you can text us directly at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Home.
Now, more than ever, we are being faced daily with the topic of human mortality. And for many people, estate planning has been top of mind. Getting your estate planning done now can be easy and cost-effective. Schroman Law offers virtual options for initial consultations so that new clients can safely initiate the process. With many facing uncertain financial situations, Schroman Law also offers affordable fees for legal documents. Learn more at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Don't be surprised if you hear your name when you walk into St. Paul Corner Drug. Our experienced staff make getting to know you their top priority. Developing a trusting relationship with our patients is the first step in providing personalized care that achieves the best outcomes possible. Make certain all your providers know who you are and what your needs are. It is a vital step in your well-being. Stop by St. Paul Corner Drug today to start a relationship with a staff that cares. St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be.
The Senior Linkage Line is a free, statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging, helping older Minnesotans and caregivers find answers and connect to services and supports. Questions about Medicare, transportation, looking to move to senior housing, overwhelmed with prescription drug plans? Call the Senior Linkage Line at 800-333-2433 or visit trellisconnects.org, where we help people optimize well-being as they age. That's trellisconnects.org.
SeniorCommunities.guide is your free online website to find housing, care, and resources for seniors in Minnesota. Use the powerful, award-winning search tool to quickly improve your search. You will have all the information you need to contact providers directly without any hassle. Start your search now at seniorcommunities.guide and follow us on Facebook for interesting articles, helpful advice, and how older adults are changing the world.
Seniorcommunities.guide. Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world. And you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you. And you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
The Park Tavern in St. Louis Park is your summer destination. The patio is amazing, perfect for you and your friends to grab dinner and drinks. Enjoy a game of cornhole while you indulge in the great food. The full Park Tavern menu is available outside. The Park Tavern also has live music on the patio every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even some Mondays through the summer. Reservations are highly recommended. And if the weather does turn, the bowling lanes at the Park Tavern are always open and are spectacular. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, the perfect summer is waiting for you at the Park Tavern.
Welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about improving your health and quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Meg Heinze, a licensed consultant and pre-arrangement and educational specialist on the importance of being prepared and what a special gift her planning services can be to your family. If you have a question for us, give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. Meg, how can our listeners get more information from you or get some more questions answered from you?
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Yep, I'm a Gmail customer, so it's Meg, MEGW, Heinze, HEINTZE, at gmail.com. Or my phone number is 952-201-6504, and send me a text, an email, and I'll get you some resources if that's what you're looking for. Or we can sit down and have our first conversation.
Which I would encourage.
Yeah.
Meg is a joy to talk to, so do not hesitate, folks. All right, we do have calls on the line here, and we've got first up is Deborah, and she's got a question for us. Welcome to the show, Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Meg. I have a question for myself. How do I choose a cremation service? And I don't like the flyers that come in the mail.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I get it. Yep, there's a lot of these societies that send a lot of things, and they want someone to come to your home and talk about it. You know what, Deborah? I would talk to someone similar to me, a pre-planning. We can kind of lay out what your options would be as far as who offers what at what cost. That's not a bad way to do it. I don't want to give Google any more business or anything, but there's places. But if you say, I think I've heard good things, ask people, ask your friends who they might use, but then, or give me a call and I'll give you a list and how much things cost at each place. And then we sit down and say, well, this is what this costs, but this is what this entails, this includes. But all pre-planning can be done the same way through these policies. If there was like a prepayment, it doesn't matter what funeral home you choose. They're all done the same way. So you could put funds aside for a cremation and then maybe decide who you're going to use later on.
One of my best friends just passed away this Christmas, and I didn't want to ask them, where the
how they
cremation
decided,
happened. But I believe that she said, this is in years past, that she only paid $500.
Yeah. And the thing is, you want to really because most funeral homes, the cremation process is not the biggest part of it. So they might have paid $500 for, I think some of the funeral homes I are out there, they pay $450 for the cremation, but then there's $500 for transportation. And then there's death certificate, there's all the other things, the services of the funeral home and all that. And you want to be careful with I think if you Google, there might even be something that says, there's $795, but you want to be careful with some of those. you want to know how soon does the ash come back? You know, I mean, there's lots of good questions that you can ask to make sure that your family would be comfortable with that situation.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you for the call, Deborah. Well, that brings up so many topics here.
Yeah.
Another show practically.
Yeah.
But Meg, there's one thing that I think people should be aware of is that you guys, your family is local. I've known you guys. You guys have taken care of our patients.
Yeah.
You know, so I know you guys so well, and you've been here for years, a local family. I would encourage people to call you. There's no cost to call you.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're a licensed person
right
in this area. And if they just call you, there's no cost for your consultation. There's no cost for you to help them. I would encourage, Deborah to reach out to you. Anybody that's in that situation, get the information.
Yes.
And, get it from somebody, who lives here, who works here. Again, I know you guys. You have several locations in the areas that we serve in our practice. But I really just encourage you. Call you. There's no cost for that.
There's I'm a consultant and so that's what I do. And I help people put these prepayments together, and I'm compensated for that. So I do get paid for what I do, but not by you. You're by you.
That's right.
So that's, and I just want to help you get the best guide that you can. And one big question that people have, just to kind of quickly jump into, is if you plan with one funeral home and you change your mind, or mom moves out of state to a nursing home to be with someone else or something, none of these policies are specific to a certain funeral home. So by law, the beneficiary of these, again, they're used insurance companies, the beneficiary has to read any funeral home whose interest may appear. And if there's money left over, it goes back to your estate. So again, these are the technicalities that it's so good to know about before making some of these decisions going forward, that they are transferable, they are changeable. All of those things make it really easy to kind of start the process. And some people, if you can't put $2,000 for a cremation down, maybe you make payments, or there's always options, as this financial tool offers lots of ways to go about taking care of this planning.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I can see I'm getting a lot of texts here as well. Just a lot of the same type of questions.
Yep.
What's involved? Does it cost to sit down and talk with you? What does an insurance policy look like? I mean, there's like, again, we have to have you back for another show. But I can see there's just a lot of questions people have. I knew this would be the case.
Right. And I don't want them to misunderstand. So I meet with people from all different parts of the Twin Cities area. If you have a specific funeral home that you want to work with, they probably have a consultant like myself on staff also. So you can work with me, you can work with them. I work with them. But again, the policies are pretty simple. They have to show that you did sit down and get a plan, and this is how much that plan came to. And let's put that away. Again, we're not going to have time to talk about price guarantees and all that.
Right.
So there's so many good things I want to talk about.
Meg, we'll have you back.
I'm a talker.
All right. Well, I want to thank Meg Heinze, a licensed consultant and prearrangement and educational specialist, on the importance of being prepared, and what a special gift her planning services can be to your family. Meg, one more time, how can they get a hold of you for more information?
Again, Meg W. Heinze, the spelling of the name is HEINTZE, at gmail.com. And my phone number is 952-201-6504. And I'm available with text, anything, whenever you need some information.
All right. Please join us again next Saturday at noon for another live broadcast of Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hi, this is Paul Metza inviting you to listen to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We have been on the air on AM 950 for over 5 years, over 200 original shows in the can, including musicians, artists, promoters, authors, comedians, and more. We're on the air Saturdays at 6 p.m. If you'd like to advertise, get a hold of us at am950radio.com and stay tuned.